There we go. Now we're on. Woo!
Okay. I was gonna say
we did it.
it doesn't really matter because I don't think anybody knows. Like, it's the best kept secret of Star Trek Day is that we're doing a live stream.
No one
Yeah.
knows.
They can watch it
one
later. It's
knows.
fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
We're just like
It's totally
we're
fine.
so good at moving in stealth. Like
Right.
we're just so good at that.
We're good at the
often
ideas.
cloaked. Yeah. As queers, sometimes we're invisible.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Sometimes on
sweet
purpose.
Michelle.
Is it? Yeah. See what I did there?
You
Only
totally tied it
sometimes.
into
Cloaking
STLV.
device.
That was really good, Urs. That was really good.
Thank you. I'm very
That's
proud of
really
myself.
I mean, so speaking of STLV,
Yeah.
Yes.
since
Speaking
that was like
of.
one of our panels, we should talk about like what was fun at STLV this year.
What was
Yes.
fun?
Oh my
I'm waiting to hear.
Everything.
Us. We were fun.
We were
Yes.
fun. That is correct.
That's what I heard
Who
at least.
wants? Yeah. Does anyone want to explain what our booth was for those that weren't able to make it to
God, I wish I
STLV?
could. I wish it sort of
Alright.
defies explanation. Go
I can do it.
Yeah,
for it.
so
Go for it.
Go for it.
yeah, yeah. So basically, if you have been watching us, or if you're new, we do recommend going back and looking at. See, Hugo knows. Going back and looking at some of our other live streams. So basically, 2 years ago, we had a panel that the idea was if there had been a queer person on the ship, like what would have changed? And we were like, wait a minute, we can't just have one person. That doesn't work for us. What would happen if like there was an entire division of queer people in Starfleet? How would that change things? So we created the much needed Queer Ops, the queer division of Starfleet. And because we can't just talk about the thing, we have to do the thing. We literally created a booth experience.
A booth experience. What
Experience.
we're calling it.
Which was basically
Experience.
queer ops recruitment. And the way it was is like part of the booth, you would go transport down the hallway, and there was a terminal at the end of the hallway that would administer the, what did we call it? The placement exam.
The placement exam.
Yes.
The placement exam. And you would be assigned to one of the divisions in Queer Ops. And then once you got your assignment, you were given your first mission orders, and you had a chance to create a customizable badge, like a little Delta communicator badge. And then, of course, we always had our fun rainbowy queer things and whatever. But yes, we recruited so many people into Queer Ops, including some quite big names, which I will leave that for other people to discuss.
Totally forgot all about that. Yeah.
Well, our first big name I think to join was Nicole DeBoer as Redax.
Oh, that's right.
I'd
I
say
wasn't
And
there when she came by.
did
That's
go
right,
through.
yes.
Yeah, she was the first one, and she got a rainbow alert because she's super
Oh, that's
gay.
right. That's right. Now
Apparently,
I remember. Yes,
according
yes,
to
yes.
science, she is super gay now.
According to science, yes.
Yeah, and she
So
was,
we
she
should
was so
take a
fun.
moment to explain what a rainbow alert is.
If only we knew.
So there is a random number generator set up, and
No, it's science. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
random.
not
Sorry.
random.
It's science.
there was a science number generator set up.
Science number generator.
Remember, we talked about how Starfleet knows things. Like,
It's not random at all.
Starfleet knows
The
things.
universe intervened. It's not random at all.
When someone who was extra super gay came through and took
What'd
the
you call me?
placement exam. Yeah, you heard me. I chose my words carefully. That they would get a rainbow alert, and they would get a little special treat at the end of their placement exam as they came through our shimmery gay transporter noises.
Gay.
Yes,
Yes.
right.
yes, exactly.
Oh,
and just to be clear,
goodness
like the rainbow alert, basically what happens is because you're so gay, you're super gay, that you literally have caused us, what did we say, a rift in the space-time rectum.
Yes.
Right.
And
Correct.
you basically have discovered a brand new quadrant, the Lambda quadrant, where all the gays hang out. So
The
that was
gayest
our
quadrant in the universe.
It is.
Sure,
And then
sure.
we did have, I do think we need to talk some Lower Decks action, because that was one of the best days at the booth
Oh,
by
Ever
far
in
ever.
history of my
History.
life, possibly.
Yeah, that
the
that
fact
part
that we
as
were
well,
all
yes.
there made it extra special.
That's
That
true.
is true.
Oh, that's
Well,
so true. To see
that is
Ursa's
so
reaction
true.
was the best.
And how I personally came to that knowledge.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, when something especially neat happens, you know, there's that look that one gets on their face that's like, and I am being a diligent teammate in the booth, and I'm restocking some of our merch because we had just got done being a little busy. And Randy, Anna, and Nikki, all three were at the front of the booth, and they all turn, stare dead at me at the exact same time, and go,
Mhm.
Like, so, like,
Right. We did
Man.
announce that there were new recruits. We were like, new
Yeah.
recruits coming through.
Yeah.
We did announce that.
yeah.
And Ursa did too, because whenever we said new recruit, someone else we would all yell new recruit.
Oh, yeah.
So
Always
we're
echo.
like,
Yeah.
new recruit, and Ursa goes, new recruit, not figuring out what's happened.
Yeah. You got to
Ursa,
keep
what
the hype going.
happened for the audience at home?
Yeah. So
It can happen.
I was like, I don't know what the looks on those faces are. I'm going to finish this job here real quick. And then I'm going to like ask them like what's happening. But then I hear the buttons going, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to look in there, just like make sure that like they know what's going on. They're doing okay. And sure enough, it is Mike McMahon and Brad Winters and Chris Westlake. Two showrunners and music composer for Lower Decks. And so of course then I turned back around to them, and
It was
So,
And the face.
priceless. It was priceless. And the way
oh,
that
God.
like came about was, I think Brad and Chris had walked up to the booth first, and they were like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yay, like rainbowy, the gays, we love you, whatever. And then Mike comes over behind them, and he's like, I have your rainbow Horgon, this lovely thing. And he
Yeah.
was like, I still have it. We're like, we know, we've seen it on your socials, we're so excited. And then all of a sudden I look at Mike and I go, hey, Mike, do you want to be recruited into Queer Ops? And then I looked at Brad and Chris. I was like, do all of you want to be recruited into Queer Ops? And they're like, okay. Like they didn't even care what it
No
was. They were just like,
questions
we're in.
asked.
We're in.
Oh,
Yeah, no
Oh,
questions about any of
so
it somehow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Brad
So
Brad
beautiful.
or Chris, one of them got the rainbow.
Brad
alert,
got
which was-
rainbow.
Yes.
It was so priceless. I will
Right,
say
yes.
we did get some shade thrown at us from Mike.
Oh, we sure did.
One of,
Oh, whoops.
one of the
What?
questions was like, what's your favorite queer
Gay show.
series?
Yeah.
Right.
Queer show, right? And we only actually had one Star Trek show on there. And
Yeah, it
he
was like Will
leans
and
out.
Grace, Queer
Yeah.
Eye, and then it
Yeah. He leans out the booth and he goes, excuse me, I think you missed a show.
Lower Decks.
Well, to be
You should have
fair,
gone.
fans had to coerce him to make that show queer, so he's got to earn it.
Well, But yes,
Aggressively
but also-
heteronormative.
Aggressively heteronormative.
Aggressively heteronormative.
But also, that's what allyship looks like. He said, "Got it. I'm gonna add queer people
Right.
into season 2. Thanks for bringing that to my
Right.
attention, and I'm gonna join Queer Ops enthusiastically."
Yeah. To his
That's
to his
true.
great
That's
credit.
true.
Yes.
To his great credit, legitimately.
Yep.
And he
Oh,
very
my
frequently
goodness.
has a rainbow Horgon on his desk during his
What
live
a-
stream.
What
That
a
came from us.
wonderful-
That one.
Yeah, but all 3 of them were just absolute sweethearts. I was talking to Chris
were.
for a
They were so
while
original.
about music afterward. I was like, "Oh my god, what incredibly kind, lovely human beings." We should also shout out Garrett Wong, also came through and got into Queer Ops. He is not an ensign, he's a cadet still in Queer Ops, I believe, but maybe we can help him
Oops.
out there in the future.
Yep. And then was it the last day or second to last day? Mika Burton came through.
Mika
Oh,
Burton came through.
yes, and that's
well,
when I wasn't at the booth, and I was like, "No."
Yes, yes.
yeah, I saw her walking around with the person that she was there with, and I, just said hi and invited them in, and Mika was very excited specifically that there were bisexual focused things on our table.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about bisexual erasure, and especially like femme bisexual erasure, which is like, I don't know, maybe like the full deepness of that is maybe too in depth for the stream, but basically there are lots of femme bisexual folks who maybe outwardly don't flag as being part of the queer community in a stereotypical way, and so they feel like they kind of don't fit into the community, and it's a tough thing people deal with, and so we had a chat about that.
Not to get too long into it, but as a femme bisexual, I will say the most it was an accident, but the most affirming moment was when I was at a like a young child's birthday party, and a woman pointed at me and just said fruit, and I was like, oh, how'd you
how can you tell?
And I literally said to her, oh my god, how'd you know? I thought I was passing really well.
How'd you know?
And then I realized in her other hand she has a tray of fruit, and she was offering me fruit. I am not kidding.
Oh my god, Anna.
But luckily and I've never met this woman before. She cracks up laughing, as does her wife, who was standing next to her. So I found the gays at the party, but I was like, oh, I felt so affirmed, and she was like, hey girl, that was the gayest thing you could have done. So
oh my god. Well, at least she didn't walk up to you with a pack of cigarettes and use the F slur at you.
Only if you're British.
If she was British, I mean, I don't know.
I would have been like, thank you. Oh my god.
Thank you. Thank you.
What else? Oh, we had a couple
panels.
Yeah.
Same brain.
Same brain. That's correct.
Started the convention.
Guys, it's like we have one brain that we share between us.
one brain cell.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah. We did kick off the entire, we didn't realize that until we looked at the schedule. We were like, wait a minute, we are Wednesday morning. Like the very first thing before even the main stage opened, we were the very first thing up. And
yes,
I mean, at what time? It was like 10 a.m. and Klingon dicks were spoken about. It happened.
Yep.
Of course they were.
6 a.m. is what it felt like. But it was not.
Yeah. Oh my god, we were all so tired.
Yes,
and
we
yet
basically
so many people came. That was lovely.
Oh, I know. Which again, if you were there and you came to our panels, thank you so much for coming and supporting. We so appreciate it. That's why we do what we do, is so we can provide the safe space and the content and the discussions. And we declared that the entire convention was going to be a gay convention, and it was delightful
because we started it, and so it was.
What was our first topic? What was our first topic? I don't remember.
Was it like when passing feels like failing?
No, that was the second one.
This is Don't Be So Binary?
Yes, that's what
yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you. That's what it was.
It's so hard to figure out during which talk that the Klingon dicks might have appeared, but it was that one.
All of them.
I think it
could have been all of them. Yeah.
I think
it could have been the title of the panel could have been "We're not going to talk about Klingon dicks," and it would still come up.
Both would.
That's a good panel idea.
I know. I was just thinking.
What are you going to talk about then? I think it would go over well.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yes. And then Friday, was it Friday? We had so our lovely friends, the Sci-Fi Sisters, were right before us, and then we went and their panel was phenomenal. So they didn't have their full team, but they had some amazing substitutions on their team. So it was Tamia and Yvette, and then it was Matthew, and then Tamia's daughter, Ayana May. And it was amazing to hear them talk about how being a black nerd, had affected all of them in different ways. Like when their first moment was, when they realized they had that blurred moment, how they came to find Star Trek, how it influenced their lives, and then how like the next generation it influenced them, and then how it will be influential going forward. And it was, oh, we love you, Tracy. We love you.
Wow.
Happy Star Trek Day, Tracy. So that panel was phenomenal. So we always encourage people, if you're ever at Vegas, please go and check out Sci-Fi Sisters. They were fabulous. And then we were up, and again, thank you to everybody who stayed in that room. Like, I know a lot of people came for the Sci-Fi Sisters and then they stayed in the room. And the feedback that we got afterwards was overwhelming to the point that it was very emotional. And it was the passing feels like failing discussion, literally what Ursa was just talking about the bi erasure a little bit. And then in other ways in which passing can work or not work. And I accidentally outed myself back to being I put myself back in the closet of being straight accidentally because the conversation was overwhelming and emotional for me. So I was like, wait, no. But that was like, I was reflecting on that. I said I was a straight white woman, is what I said.
Yeah, or no, you were like talking about like how important it is for you to be an ally to the queer community. I was like, hey, Nikki,
you're not straight. Yeah.
And you don't have to.
It was, and then what I had meant to say was passing as a straight white woman. Yeah. But it just goes to show, like, as I had reflected on that later, it just goes to show like how much mental work sometimes you need to work through and break through those stigmas. And so it was just, it was good. And actually one of the best comments that I heard was from Tamia afterwards. And she had said that she had gotten a lot out of our talk and learned a lot, and things she never expected would actually bubble up for her. Yeah. So that was encouraging. That was very encouraging. So
I think that I think a lot of times we don't necessarily go into it with that kind. I mean, how could we go into it with that kind of thing in mind, right? But I feel like it happens a lot, and people say that a lot. So that's good.
Yeah.
We had a great convention. We hope, please, if Creation's asking for feedback or anything, please say that you want Lambda Quadrant to be doing more panels, maybe request a drag show, because we'd love to facilitate that. We've tried, we'd love to do it. And we are going to be there next year, so we can announce that. We're going to have another booth, and it's going to be gay and crazy and fun.
As
hope
always,
to see you all there, old friends.
And that's as much as we know. We're not hiding anything because we have no idea yet.
No. No. We will be in the same spot again. So a lot of people didn't realize we had moved from the back row to like the second row. But we will basically be in a similar, if not the same space, which is like you walk into the vendor's room, it's like the second row, you turn left, and we're like the second or third booth
over by
in the
Garrett.
middle. Yeah, on your way to Garrett, yeah. Which is nice. We liked that space. So
I actually had one more story I wanted to share.
Go for it. I was gonna say, other stories.
I was talking with our friend Chanda Prescott Weinstein, and we were talking about our panel, and Chanda was telling me that there were some older folks who were sitting around her, and when I started talking about being non-binary, one of them was like, "What is non-binary?" And someone immediately was like, or Chanda said, like, "Think about the trill and what that must be like." And this person was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And the fact that like that metaphor provided that like quick conduit to understanding, that's like
2 seconds,
yeah, like it's really easy to get cynical or like just forget, like we're so steeped in Star Trek, you lose some of the awe and the wonder sometimes because it's like so a part of who you are. But that moment really, like, it kind of brought me back into that, like wow, this is like a big thing. This is like actually super super cool, right? Like this Star Trek thing is it's rad.
It's beautiful.
a really great dorky moment for me.
No, I love that.
I love Star Trek.
I love that. I love that.
And I also think
Wait,
we
y'all
saw
like the
this
Star Trek?
year more. We saw more. I felt like we saw a queerer convention this year than we have had in past years. And I think it has been people have been more comfortable being out and proud and vocal. I mean, definitely people are out and proud when they talk to us because we're in a booth covered in rainbows.
Yeah.
So, but I was very happy to see. I think it proves that, like, hey, Paramount, they're here. Like, like they, and I say they again. I just did it, Nikki. We're here.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
here.
I know.
Like,
Those
we're
weirdos.
here.
It
We're
happens.
queer, and we buy Star Trek merch. So make Star Trek stuff for
part.
us, and like, yeah, and because I know money is the only thing that talks. So like,
Right.
do you not like gay money?
I do.
I want to
I
address.
prefer it actually.
I want to address this just because I appreciate this is good. This is good to know. One, I don't know how the feedback normally works, but if this is what gets sent to everybody and that's all you can do, then to be honest, what you will have to do is one step further and actually physically email them and tell them.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a
Or put it
section for
on social media
comments, that's
comments.
great. Otherwise, you have to actually physically probably like email them and tell them that you want more
"We'd love
queer
this."
content. Yeah, that you do want more queer content. And that's how it's going to happen because we can offer and ask all day long, but they only give us whatever they give us. So
what they give us, yeah. And to be fair, they have been actually really good about
Yeah,
it.
they have.
So I don't want anyone out there to think that like they have like hindered us in any way. Like they have been so great
Yeah.
about doing it.
Yeah.
But more is great also. More is better than less.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were really good. Like we didn't, we
Yeah.
weren't expecting or anything this year, right? Because we don't ever know for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we got more than we thought we were going to. So they are really good about it. So but I think that's a twofold thing, right?
Yes,
We don't want to say that they don't do anything, but we also want to say that hey, they listen, right?
Yep.
So
Correct.
they do
Yes, that's a
actually
good
listen.
point.
So
Yeah.
it's a good thing
Yes.
to actually
Great-
submit it.
great
Because I
point.
know a lot of times when people put those things in, you kind of assume it's going to go nowhere, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, sure, I'll
Yeah.
read your
No, they do.
your
They do
recommendation.
listen.
Yeah, they actually do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Creation, especially this year, Creation was very kind to us, which was really nice. But again, and I do think that comes from people have
But hey,
been
more.
asking, they've been listening, and yeah, so absolutely more.
Right.
But yeah. So, do we also want to get into a maybe discussion topic for today?
Yeah. Any
Tonight?
other
yeah.
STLV recap things before we finish up?
I mean, there were so many. Other
so
than
many.
I was a fish man.
that,
That's
your
true.
costume was really, really good.
That's on the LP socials, yes.
Oh, that's yeah.
I
I think
think
it is. I think it
Sure.
is on the Instagram. I think it is on the Instagram. If it's not, it's tagged. LQ is tagged on my Instagram in a photo, so you can see it. So.
Yeah, we're
If you
not
wanna
the
see my
greatest
costume.
at the socials. Sometimes we have great ideas. Sometimes the execution.
So
of
many
those
good ideas.
Is not the best in the whole world, but lots of ideas.
What if
something slutty blood witch something?
I was trying to explain that to my dad, and he was like,
"There's no way."
He was like, "What?"
Oh yes,
Yeah.
swamp witch shit.
Donkey swamp witch shit.
Donkey swamp witch. Thank you. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, those are the things. What else? Wait. Miss Marion.
Oh my God.
Oh,
bless
how
her.
do you spell?
I love that woman so much.
Okay.
Fat ass. It was fat ass, not asshole. Sorry, my bad.
It was badass. Or FedEx is what she thought. So wait, let's give some context to this.
Yes,
okay, so
please explain.
If you have watched any of our recap live streams or just in general, we tend to have this like prompt of like what happens to y'all. So things just happen to us weirdly.
It's not our fault. It's not
our fault. We don't know. Sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes they're just great for stories because they're not the greatest. Whatever. Go back and rewatch some of our cruise recaps. It's very much in this realm, in this vein. But anyway, so we go to a dinner to support the Sci-Fi Sisters. and we were trying to
Because
find a
they're
table
amazing.
that could sit where we
Mhm.
all, there were 5 of us because our friend Sue was with us, and we were trying to find a spot where all 5 of us could sit. Well, there was really only one table available that had enough seats open, and there were currently 2 women sitting there, and we didn't see who they were. We didn't know who we were. So I don't know who went around and asked, but somebody went and was like, "Hey, are these seats
Is
taken?
it
Can we
cool?
sit here?"
Yeah, can we sit here?
Mhm.
And they were like, "Yes, absolutely." So we
It was
sit
the only
down.
place to sit. It was the
Yep.
only
It
place to
was
sit.
at
Yep.
the time. It was the only
It was
place
the
to
only place to
sit.
sit.
And all of a sudden, we don't realize. Actually, they introduced themselves, just their first
Yeah,
names,
we meet
right?
people's names. Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
We just
Right.
had names
Right.
at
Marion.
first.
Okay. Oh, Miss
That
Marion.
was
Lovely to
it.
meet you. Yeah.
Yes. And then her friend,
Mhm.
yeah. And so we're chatting, whatever, being us, and we start getting looks from some of the sci-fi sisters, some of the other people from Ayana May. Like we started getting, and we're like, what is going on? I
But
Mhm.
don't know
also,
how
we're being
we
our normal selves.
correct.
We're being chaotic.
That's
Which is the
We're
problem,
talking
to be
about
clear.
preferences of like who our favorite Muppets are. We're talking about. I just remember at one point saying, "I'm partial to Beaker myself." I don't remember why. But
Oh my gosh.
we're swearing, we're being
yeah, we're
chaotic,
yes,
and I
we're
cannot
being us.
express enough how sober I was and why I was still being absolutely
I think we all
chaotic.
were. It just was
Yeah,
whatever.
we were sober,
Right.
So then
and
at
we
some
were
Yeah, but it
point,
was late in the day.
it was the evening.
were
It had been
having
a
a time.
long day. Yes. So I don't know how it happened, but we then find out that Miss Marion is Nichelle Nichols' sister. And we were like,
Sister.
Yes. Yes.
what?
Yes. The special guest for the
The
evening, which
special
is
guest
why
for
she
the
was sitting by
evening.
herself.
Oh my god.
And we're like, literally in our chat, we're like, legend,
Oh.
we're sitting with a legend. Holy shit, whatever. Like, we're
Also,
leaving.
how do you spell fat ass?
And of course, do
We're
we
like,
try to keep it cool? No, we
No,
just keep being
absolutely
us.
not. Absolutely not.
yeah. I mean, we were cool in the sense of we weren't just like, oh my god, tell us a million stories about Nichelle. Like we weren't like
Oh
fangirling,
Oh
but
no,
we
we
were
were just like, hey
still
girl.
We were just being gay dumbasses because we are gay
Right.
dumbasses.
because you can't
That
put a
was
lid back
really it.
on. We'd already shown we were insane.
I know we couldn't put that. No, there's no way. You can't put that back in
And
the
I was
closet.
like,
Absolutely not.
listen, and
Absolutely not.
I
Absolutely not.
I was wearing a dress because I didn't know if we were going to be going to anything fancy, and then it was like, oh, this seems like a fancy event. I was wearing a dress that I had packed in case I decided to be like a sensual Orion. It had a deep V and all that stuff. And
It's a
then
nice
the next
shown.
yes. And I was lovely. She was absolutely lovely. She was lovely. The next day I'm dressed as this fish man from Antedian or
Fleetwood Fish.
Fleetwood Fish.
and
yes.
I see her and I'm like, obviously you won't recognize me. But last night I was Anna, and we were sitting at a table, and she goes, the woman sitting across from me, and I go, yes. She goes, in the black dress, and I go, yes. And she goes, and then she leans in and goes, with the nice tits. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, if you got him, Flanta. And I was like, this woman is so
Legend.
amazing.
No,
Legend.
And we all were. All
Legend.
weekend,
yeah.
all week.
And
Absolute
I will
legend.
say, Anna, like the next day before you went up to her, Randy
Yeah.
had gone up to the table to see her,
Yes.
and I had gone up to the table, and I think
So
we
amazing.
all kind of did the
I did
hi.
too. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Okay,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like hi.
Yeah.
I'm so and so. We sat at dinner last night, and she was amazing. She's like, oh honey,
Oh, yeah.
I remember you. And
Oh
we
yeah,
were
that's
like,
what she said. She's like, "Oh honey,
she's
I
like, oh, I
remember." I was
remember
like,
you.
"Oh god."
And I was like,
I
I'm
had hoped you were
so.
so
I was
drunk
like,
that
I was like,
somehow.
I'm so sorry. You did probably weren't expecting to sit with all of our cast. She goes, no,
Right.
I had so much fun. She was like, thank you
Oh.
so much for just having a discussion with me. I was like, oh no, it was our pleasure. Like, thank
That's
you.
what we're due. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
She
was
Legendary.
so
Absolute
cool.
legend.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolute legend. Just an all around like,
Yes.
and also like
Yeah.
just beautiful. Like of course, I
Yeah.
mean her. Of course, like Nichelle was absolutely gorgeous. Of course, her sister's
Right.
absolutely gorgeous.
Oh
She's
yes.
and just and like Nichelle was very witty, even all the way to the end. Miss Marion, very witty, very smart, very funny. Oh my god, like I was.
FedEx.
No,
It's
when
spelled
she
with a
said-
hyphen, not FedEx. Marion,
Fat
FedEx.
Whoops, whoops, whoops,
Well,
whoops,
but when
whoops.
she whispered
Yeah.
that to me, I was like, I've peaked. I'm done. Because my
Yeah,
life will
we're
never
done.
get
We're
better.
done. We're done.
Yes.
So yeah,
I-
stuff just
yeah.
happens to us. We
Start.
didn't
It
Yeah.
cause that.
Yes.
there you go. Yeah. So there's.
I mean, we caused what we said, but that was it.
And thank you to the sci-fi sisters because they're
Oh my
the
gosh,
greatest
yes.
people in the world, and also pretty much
Absolutely
facilitated
correct.
that.
That part too,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
I hope they still invite us to things even after that.
Oh no, I think
Goodness.
that I don't think we won't be in because Yvette is the one that hears our stories.
Yeah, she likes hearing our stories. Oh my god.
Right.
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness.
That's fair,
So
yeah.
creepy. So if you want to join in the chaotic craziness of Lambda Quadrant at a Vegas convention, please come next year.
Stop
because
by.
we will be there. And it's the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. So
Yes.
who
It's
knows what's going to
gonna be
happen?
Who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yay,
Oh,
Vegas.
Star Trek will be 5 years away from retirement.
In this
Oh.
economy,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Still
5
plenty
years
to
away
go.
from
Star Trek's
Medicare.
going to be working to 100.
In
Yeah.
the, wait,
yeah.
side note,
Yeah.
again, in this economy, Anna,
Right?
with this
What economy?
administration, I don't.
Yeah, it's more in the administration.
Mm,
You can get on Medicare regardless of the economy, but there's about whether or not it'll still be there.
mm.
Anyway, let's talk about
Anyway.
things that happen in the future that's hopeful.
yeah. So,
In a different timeline far, far away,
yeah.
there's a hopeful future.
Wait, should we just caveat this is while we are normally us, this is Lambda Quadrant After Dark. So now it's
Right,
now
sorry,
so
yeah.
you have been forewarned right now that
Give them a
it's
minute
gonna
to send
get-
the kids away.
correct. There's gonna be spicy talk. So if that's not your
Vajazel.
Vajazel, yes, correct.
Yeah.
I just wanted to before we
Hashtag
start.
probably high. Also, see,
That too.
sex joke. Where's Unhinged? I love the cowboy. There it is.
That's good.
Oh, amazing.
So well
Great work.
produced.
Great work. No notes. No notes.
So I certainly understand why conventions want to cater towards family friendly programming, because obviously we want kids in fandom and we want younger folks in fandom, and obviously people should not have to engage with sexual things if they don't want to, but for those of us who want to, there should also be a space, I think, for us to do those kinds of activities.
Yep. Like Kineticon does like 18 plus panels.
Yeah.
Usually later. And it's so great.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
And so we've been kind of throwing around the idea for a while of doing a sort of after dark and talk about sex and sexuality and what Star Trek has had to say about it. Interesting stories involving sexuality in ways that are great and some ways that are super real, all not great.
Yep.
Yes.
And of course, definitely interested for folks watching, if you have any things that you think about that maybe you're not seeing, feel free to drop those in the comments and we'll just kind of meander on through a discussion here. So the first one that I have is our consent king, William Thomas Riker.
Oh my.
Oh, Riker.
Oh my. Oh my.
Walking HR violation.
Is
You
he
slept
though?
with every Talarian moon
it depends.
princess.
Depends on the episode.
I mean,
Depends on the episode.
I mean, I don't know.
He is most people's boss.
Well,
Also
right.
that.
And that's
Okay.
yeah. And that,
But
and
also
that's
when you're on a diplomatic mission, also not the time probably.
right.
Angel
I
One.
mean, to be fair, like
Angel
that's got to be
Angel One.
against HR regulations, right? Like, oh, I'm going to beam down to this planet and just like fuck everybody I see. Oh, sorry, why are you there?
What we do get in canon that I don't think I think very explicitly Starfleet regulations don't prohibit relationships like that. But Captain Picard at one point also does say that he just thinks
Right.
it's a bad idea, even if
Yeah.
it's not something that's like
Well,
forbidden.
yeah, sure. But
Yeah.
okay, devil's advocate, why the fuck isn't it forbidden? Like, why do you need to get
Right.
a boyfriend when you visit the planet one time? Like, what are you doing? Like, I guess,
Yeah.
but like what?
Oh, don't
I-
worry. We'll get into. I'm gonna do an HR panel one day. We'll get into it.
Why
My
Star Trek HR sucks?
my maybe lukewarm to warm defense of that, and I
Okay,
understand that
okay.
I'm stretching a bit here,
Okay.
is that at this point in the future, human attitudes towards sex and sexuality
Mhm.
would mature enough that sex
Okay.
between friends or even between coworkers
Yeah.
would not be any more
Uh-huh.
fraught than we see like going out for dinner or going out for drinks with a coworker.
Yeah. I would agree with that statement, especially if you're on a starship and that is it. Those are the people that you are interacting with. That's it,
Yeah.
right? Other than if you're going to a planet or people that come onto the ship, like unless you're constantly having sex in the holodeck, like
Right. Well,
the
they are.
the only actual
clear.
other
Yes, to be very
beings-
clear.
well,
They
correct. Yeah,
absolutely are.
that's correct. But like, some people may not want to actually do that. They want to have a physical connection with a real being of some kind. So I agree.
Well, yeah. And the flip side of that coin, though, right, is, well, maybe we're that advanced, but what about the people you're about to sleep with?
Right.
They could
They're-
cause the problem, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And often do.
Yeah.
And often do.
And I will say-
as it
and
turns
I
out.
would- I
Well,
would
you know what?
say-
Also, like
I
it.
would
I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I would just say that I love that hopeful view that we can be more mature and stuff. I think though that in that case everyone needs to also stop sleeping with the one therapist on board. Because how do you how are we
Like, I don't
supposed
care
to
how
get to that
advanced we are.
mature
Like, there do have
place
to be lines, right?
if we're
Like,
not
that's not
going to
reading a
therapy?
book.
Like,
Technically, wouldn't there be more than one therapist on? I think there is. We just
You would
only
think.
see one therapist.
but still, she seems to be the therapist for everybody, at least
Well, yeah.
default.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, no, for sure. It's
For sure.
But to bring it
listen,
back
the
to our
HR panel
consent
will happen
king,
one day.
Yeah.
Yes.
to
So
bring it back
Riker.
to our
Yes, yes,
consent
yes,
king,
yes,
at
yes,
least
yes.
in this
Consent
moment,
king.
William Thomas Riker
Right.
shows someone. William Riker is unapologetically horny as a human being. That is an uncontroversial
True.
statement. And if you
Yeah.
think otherwise, you are simply incorrect. It is a statement of fact that William T. Riker is horny as hell. Like always horny.
Yes.
And so when Yuta comes on to him, he's into it, obviously. Very, very
Shocking.
into it. Right. Weird. But the minute that he sensed there was an actual power imbalance where
Uh-huh.
she felt like she maybe wasn't safe to say no, he shut it
Right.
down.
Yes.
He does this again
Yeah.
with it's in True Q with Amanda, right?
He sure does.
She is
Yes.
attracted to him, and he's like, no, this is not appropriate. Yeah.
She's also like, I was always unclear on what her age was.
I was gonna say she was like 19, 20,
She's
21.
young.
She was-
Oh,
no, but
yeah.
like, but and I think I got the impression she was an adult, but she's young, and I think that's also good on Riker to be like, nah,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
yeah, it's legal, but is it a good idea? Absolutely not.
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, like it's
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Riker is a space hoe. That is correct.
Yeah. No, and that's totally fine. Like, I'm so
And
happy
that's
for him
great.
to slut it up. Like, he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
It's
that
all about
the specific phenomenon that subverts is that I think there's a popular conception that if you're a particularly promiscuous person, that makes you like suspect or
Mhm.
Right.
it makes you like predatory in some way.
Or literally
Mhm.
1,000 other negative things. But yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And at least in the social circles that I run in and the communities that I'm in, the horniest people are also the people who take that sort of consent the most seriously and will
Yeah, that's
immediately shut it
true.
down if there's even a question. And
Right.
and that's, I don't know, I think that's like,
I-
especially in the time period, it's so important that there's an unapologetically horny and also like
Right.
unfailingly moral person.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
No,
And-
I love
and
that.
I-
I love
and
that.
I would say when you do see him with somebody that's on the ship, I don't think it's anybody that's actually in his direct line of command that reports directly to him. Like it, even if it's like an
Yeah.
officer that's
Yeah,
lower
I mean,
than
I
commander
guess if
level.
he's
it's-
technically everyone's boss, that's kind of
Well,
obnoxious. But yeah, he
Yeah.
never does it
Yeah.
with anyone that's like directly.
I mean,
Correct.
even with him and Deanna, she's a senior officer with a lot of
Yeah.
her own
Right.
agency. Like
Yeah,
that.
that's different.
Yeah, I mean, and they're like entirely different.
I'm talking about getting mind raped every other episode.
God.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
But-
Jesus.
We're gonna get
God.
there.
Oh, we're gonna
So
get there. Okay, sorry.
Here's a question though, and maybe
Oh
this
my
is, it's just like the consent, we never see it. So when he is actually host to Odon, and it is
Mhm.
implied that he and Beverly have sex, like you don't actually
Got
see the
questions
consent
about that.
Like, is it because there was already consent from Odon? Like, that's an interesting take on things too.
Yeah.
But I actually don't think because he's not the one that initiates. Once Riker is the host, he's not the one that initiates. She is. She comes to his
well-
quarters and she, right? She kisses him.
But she's like, this is weird, and he's like, it's still me, Odon, and he's kind
Yeah.
of still. It's
Oh, no.
there were a lot of conversations that they
but
needed
she
to have,
says-
and not a
she-
counselor in sight.
But she's the one that says the indicator of like, I'm not leaving. Like he asks, like if he
Yeah.
literally gives her the option.
Oh yeah, if this causes you
If-
pain, then I'll
Then
hide
whatever,
it or
I'll
suppress it or whatever. Yeah.
whatever. And if you're going
Yeah.
to leave, now is the time. Like
Yeah.
you've done your medical duty of checking on me.
Yeah.
Now is
Yeah,
the time to leave. And
for
she goes,
sure.
I'm
Now
not
to do
leaving
your
tonight. I'm not
non-medical
leaving."
duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The consent I'm most concerned about in that case is Riker's.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, so
Like-
there we go.
Yeah.
Because
it's like, because he consented to Don being like using him as a vessel temporarily in a life or death scenario, but did he
Right.
like, especially as they kind of retconned the trill later on, like
Yeah.
you know, it's like
True.
ooh, you know, but it's very interesting. But we have more to get to, so we gotta get to it.
Yes.
So next up we have
Mm.
our violently horny friends.
Yeah.
Violently
That's the
horny.
N-word. Jadzia.
I will say he switched his viewpoint because originally in TNG, he said in order to have sexual relations, he would need a Klingon woman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I
Really
have-
Klingon.
Unlearn that.
I have often mixed feelings about this relationship, if I'm honest.
I do too.
Um
I don't blame
And-
you either.
Yeah, and that's not the same as saying that I don't think it should have been written, because it's also very real. Like we all know people who have been in these relationships. Maybe we have even been in these relationships ourselves.
Mhm.
Because like people, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that if things are bad, like it would be easy to leave if literally everything was bad all of the time in a lot of cases.
Mhm.
That's not universally
Yeah.
true.
Right.
But in a lot of
Right,
cases, if it was just 100% misery, it wouldn't be as hard to leave. But there's always like really, really good things that you love and make you feel good, along with the
Of
stuff that
course.
makes you miserable. And sometimes you can't
Right.
like lean enough into the good stuff to make it feel like fully and entirely worth it.
Right.
And I think it's a brilliant study in that relationship dynamic.
Yeah.
Because like the minute someone was as violently jealous of me as Worf gets toward Jadzia, I would be like, you're done.
Oh my God.
Get out of my
Right?
life. Absolutely not. You
Right?
don't own
What a
me. I'm not your
nightmare.
property.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's those two dicks.
no.
My thing with Worf and Jadzia and their relationship is I think it's so much better weirdly after they're married. Because before they're married, we see so much weird jealousy from Worf, but
Yeah.
after they're married, we see
That's
like
true, yeah.
the little ship bit and like and them being like, oh, you know, Commander Worf, your wife's here, and then her like blowing a kiss, and then like him being like, I've written a poem, and then him being like, it's a little ship that wrote that
Yeah,
took a little trip.
yeah.
And then they're like after they're married, it's like great, but I'm also like, can we talk about how much I don't think they should have made it to the Isle? Like I mean,
Yeah.
But somehow it fixed
how, like,
everything.
Of course.
somehow, I mean, I think maybe we didn't see some
Somehow.
couples counseling, or even like when they
Well, we
are
definitely didn't see
taking
any.
care of, yeah, like when we see them taking care of Kirayoshi, and like how he's like, no, I'm frustrated because I know that deep down this is a test for you, and but they're actually having that conversation, and he's not yelling at her or yelling at anyone. He's just like, oh, I'm frustrated because this, I know I didn't do a good enough job with Alexander. I can be a father. And her being like, okay, but I'm here for you whether or not we have children. And like they're actually speaking like adults. And but in that earlier
Right.
relationship, it's like you committed a terrorism, buddy.
Right.
Like
You showed off kid.
like what's
Don't
going
do a
on?
terrorism.
That's
Yeah.
I mean, that's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah. Terrorism.
Like,
Yeah.
The real deal
Same.
breaker for you? That's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
I just like,
Come on,
yeah,
standards.
and it's like it's kind of like Worf is a little incel like in that way. If he's like, well, my girlfriend
He sure is.
was
Sure is a little
he
incel.
was spending time with her ex, making admittedly erotic pottery. But and I
Admittedly,
don't like
erotic pottery is my next book name.
Tag admittedly erotic pottery.
and
Come on,
and
ghost.
because I don't and because I can't
Writing
just
this
like
shit down.
yeah because I can't relax, and because I'm going to judge other people's relationships and how they're dealing with their stuff with Bashir and Lita, I'm going to commit terrorism. I'm like, that's not what we do.
It's not what we
And
do.
I
It's what
it's
they
just
do.
like there's so many steps before that. And you don't get to justify your terrorism by being like, I had kind of a rough childhood that wasn't that rough. Like when he explained
Right.
it,
Right.
like yeah. And so it's one of those things where like I agree with you. I have mixed feelings with, because like at like again, I think there's really nice moments, especially after they're married. But before that, I'm like,
Yeah.
break up.
Well, and I
Yeah.
can see that too. This is maybe like a little headcanon-y, but the notion that like Worf maybe felt a little insecure until the wedding, specifically because they hadn't taken the
Oh,
vows
yeah.
yet. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
once
Right.
And that
Yeah.
once they had taken the vows, then
Like,
he just
that's what
trusts.
he needed
Yeah.
to like get himself over the thing. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And then
mean,
there's no
that
jealousy.
does seem a little weird, but okay.
It does. It does very.
It's problematic.
Like,
Yeah.
It's
it is
problematic.
problematic that becoming married solved all of his insecurities.
Yeah.
Wait, hold
Yes.
on. What were
And
your
I
insecurities?
think
That she was going to just legally marry someone else? Because that's all that prohibits. Like,
Right.
like what?
Yes.
And maybe it even doesn't do that. I don't know,
Yes.
but
And I'm just saying that if Bashir had been on that vacation with Garrick instead of Lita would have been like, no, I'm reporting him for terrorism. I'm
that's
sorry,
our
there's
girl.
gotta he should have some consequences for that.
Isn't terrorism bad?
The one time I left this station. Like,
Oh my god, awful.
And I also think
What's
there's
next? Oh, so we're still please.
Oh yeah, well, and this we'll get more into this later too, but a bit of the normalization of like being openly kinky.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when Ben says like
yeah,
try not to break any bones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because he knows the score. He knows what's about to happen, and he's like he's not saying don't do it. He's just saying like please like don't hurt yourself
be
too
careful.
bad at least.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that
That's-
dynamic later. But
That's
there's
good.
more of that coming.
That's
And of
funny.
course, it wouldn't be a Lambda Quadrant stream if we didn't do
Oh my God, yes. I was gonna say, how do we? So, speaking of the greatest love story of all time, I love when someone asks about it and I say Sub Rosa and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, it's the one where Dr. Crusher goes to her grandmother's funeral and she finds out that she's been fucking this ghost in the candle and decides to fuck him too and then quit her job." Also, the weather's bad. So everyone's Scottish.
Hey, another example of a guy committing weather and eco-terrorism, I guess.
That's true. That's true.
However, yes, it was written by a woman, so we have no excuse for this.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I've definitely read criticism of this episode.
What?
But I think I don't know if I've this is an idea that feels like I came up with on my own. I could have had. I'm not definitively taking credit for this, but this legitimately popped into my head just tonight. This is like it's the same thing as like a vampire seduction story.
Yes.
And
it's very gothic literature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
And it's like it's actually a fairly normal fantasy for a person who has a healthy relationship with their sexuality, of like being seduced in that way, that you're so just like overtaken by passion that you can't help yourself. Yeah. And I think
no, that's totally valid. Yeah.
Sometimes the criticism comes off to me like it's forgetting about the other side of that, like, because the criticism focuses on like it ends up sort of glorifying Bev being like having her agency taken away and
like the lack of consent and that she's technically being raped, like that's what people say. Yes.
It's a low rapey.
But the other side of that is that like seduction fantasy that like obviously there are not great ways to engage with that fantasy, but there are plenty of healthy ways to indulge in that fantasy, and that's what this feels like to me in a way that's just like,
isn't literally every vampire story like they're so beautiful or have these powers or whatever that like people can't resist? Why is that not literally the same discussion? Like, why if it's a ghost coming out of a candle, it's different than a vampire with pretty eyes? Like, why is that different?
That's what this is like. I'm not saying that like the initial contact that he has with her, first of all, in the beginning, it's just him talking, but then there is the actual physical touch of some kind, and then he comes to her in the dream and everything, and those are the like sparks of getting her to desire what he has. But I will say this, and I was just thinking about this because I've never thought about it this way before. She is the one that lights the candle, whether she knows what's going to happen next or not. She is choosing to figure that out. She is choosing to be curious in that way, which could be part of the fact that she is a scientist. And trust me, there's a lot of holes in the writing for this that I get mad. I'm like, she's a fucking scientist. Like, why wouldn't she have known? Like, I get mad about that. But then when like Ursula, like you said, if you flip it a little bit, she's the one that's like, I lit the candle. Where are you? Like, you're supposed to be here. Where are you? And he asks her, do you want to be part of this that's been a lifelong journey with your family and experience X amounts of whatever pleasure, right? Like, and she's read her grandmother's journals, maybe not all the way through.
She read that journal.
She should have finished
at least 2 chapters. She should have finished.
Because at the end, she does, while she admits the fact that like she was manipulated, right? Because she was manipulated into it. She does say, I reread my grandmother's journals, and whatever else he may have done, he made her happy. And like, there's this point of disappointment for her where she's like, I kind of want that So to your
Right.
point of that fantasy of being desired in that way, and if we go
Right.
along with her past
Yeah.
relationships and this on again, off again thing with Picard and the is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And
Right.
even similar to Jadzia and Dax, like it's not that, as we have found out in Picard, it's not that she doesn't love him. She does love Picard. It's just there's so many things that like his dysfunction and his past trauma and her dysfunction and her past trauma do not go well together. And so
Right.
she
Yeah.
can't stay with him. Like she just can't. And so
Yeah.
it's interesting that she has that. It's very clear that at least she has this desire of some kind
Right. Totally.
to be curious about it, whatever. I completely understand
Right.
where people are coming from when they say, like, this is a story, there's no consent, like, it's very much an assault. And I get how
Right.
it can be triggering for people.
Yeah.
Right.
But you do kind of have to look at all aspects of it. And
Yeah.
of course, we love to just love it because it's campy and we make
I mean,
fun
'cause
of
it's
it,
just
right?
stupid.
And, and
Yeah.
because
I
it's a blatantly sexual episode. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about anything else.
I
but
would
that.
like to just throw one thing in here from like the ELA teacher standpoint of like key thing
ELA
about Gothic
is
literature. English
what's
language
the-
arts. So
Okay,
when you
cool.
took
Oh,
English
thank you.
class in high school and stuff, that's ELA. But so with Gothic literature, I think the key thing with these fantasies and that Gothic literature, because this is Gothic romance through and through,
yeah,
is almost always universally they end. The evil's defeated, and I think that's a key part of the fantasy that you don't
Yeah.
stay trapped.
Yeah.
And that happens in this because, like, Phantom of the Opera, which Hugo put in, like, Christine does
Oh,
not
yeah.
choose
Phantom,
Phantom.
Right.
Dracula, Van Helsing is there. Nosferatu, he does, you know, it does, they don't, evil is defeated. Ronan, evil is
Yeah.
defeated. And so it's that element of, I think that also goes into, though, how Beverly can look back fondly. And kind
Yeah.
of be like,
Yeah.
she can recognize like he was bad, you know, for everything else he did, but that like, yeah, there was that happiness there. But I
Yeah.
think there's the ability to look at the positives because of the safety of knowing it's over.
Yeah.
Because like,
That's
and I
true.
think the
Yeah,
real, and I think a huge part of recognizing why it feels so rapey, because it is how much Beverly changes.
Yeah.
If she was still being like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring this candle on the ship, and I'm gonna be like, and I'm gonna, you know, be a doctor, and but instead she's like, I'm gonna dress like I'm in the Scottish Highlands. I'm going to move to the Scotland planet. I'm going to not seem to talk to like any of my other friends about it. I'm not gonna make a plan to leave eventually. Oh, this dream job. I'm just gonna bye. I'm leaving now. Is very
right. Yeah.
is where we go, okay, there's more than just that like pleasure he's giving her. There's definitely some further manipulation happening.
Well, for sure.
I think
Right,
it's very when someone is in an abusive relationship and they suddenly are cutting off contact with their friends, they quit their job, and it's very like, ooh, this isn't healthy, this isn't good. And I think that goes into that Gothic romance thing of like the key is that it ends.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
All right, Anna, you're our expert for this one.
All right,
I'm gonna drop
Mud's
for the
women.
TOS discussion.
Yes.
Okay. Randy has to go, but he loves us,
I had to go,
and he just
but
hates
I love
the original
y'all and
series. No,
continue it on, and I
Mwah.
just hate it. No, I don't. But I don't want to spoil the surprise for later on.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so Mud's women, because I'm the one who watches the most TOS and
That's
is the most obsessed with it. So Mud's women, for those that don't know, Harry Mudd probably at least would know from Discovery, is one of the few reoccurring characters in original series. Might be the only one because he's in 2 episodes. He is in this one as his first, Mud's Women, and then secondly, he's in I, Mud with the Androids. And so that's where if you saw the woman at STLV who was like, Harcourt Fenton Mud, that was...
Probably.
Okay, never mind. All right, so Mud's Women. Harry Mudd is essentially a facilitator of mail order brides. I wouldn't call him I've heard some people call him a pimp. I wouldn't quite go that far because these are women specifically looking to get married. And I think it's more of a mail order bride situation. They are women who say that they come from areas, communities where there's no like eligible men. All the men that they know are relatives, and they're looking to get married off. And they're these unspeakably gorgeous babes. And because of their ship getting destroyed, Mudd and the three of them are brought on board the Enterprise, and of course, like all the men are kind of like, whoa, these women are hot, but they're also still professional. It's not like a thing where they're like, men can't resist them. It's just like these women are really
they're not
hot.
a metamorph. They're not like the metamorph.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, but they're certainly not like that. But then we do see though some weird stuff of like, oh, they couldn't get accurate medical readings. That's weird. And then it is later revealed that Mudd has given all of them a drug called the Venus drug, which, oh yeah, and this is where he gets closer to a pimp in the sense of
I've seen this episode. It's just been a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. They are all addicted to it. We see them going through withdrawal at one point, and we don't really understand what's going on. But they're like, they have bags under their eyes, and it's kind of supposed to be like, oh, they're ugly, but they're not really. They're just not all glammed up, and they're just kind of like, I need it now, Harry, and you're like, ooh. And then they take it, and then they're beautiful again, but they're just kind of, again, it's not really that big a change. The spoiler, the big reveal is that it turns out it was really just confidence that it gave them. Straight up. It just gave them confidence because Kirk has a placebo on the table, and Vina, who's the one in the pink all the way on the left-hand side there, takes it at the end, and suddenly it works, and she's like, oh, what do you want, a wife like this who's just useless but pretty? To the guy she gets married off to, and then it turns out like, no, Kirk was like, I didn't actually put just drugs on a table like in front of an addict. Who do you think I am? It's just gelatin kind of thing. And it was a placebo. And the reveal is that, yeah, it's confidence that's attractive.
Okay.
But they do explicitly say in like the episode, I think, that they're like, women become more feminine and like men become more masculine, because it's got to be explicitly heterosexual.
Of course it does. Of course.
But one could argue maybe it's just like gender affirming care. They're just like, women are taking estrogen and like men are taking testosterone.
Yeah, that's not the worst metaphor.
I mean, that it's just that, how great would it be if they just developed a drug that just is like, whoever takes it, it's just gender affirming, whatever your gender is. It's also that episode where we get the line, Vina at one point is told to try and seduce Kirk, and then she can't go through with it because she's like, I'm not a bad person. I'm not trying to manipulate you.
Yeah.
She goes to him and is like, she says, like, I once read that a Starfleet captain is meant to be a paragon of virtue. I've never met a paragon. And Kirk says, neither have I. And then later in Deep Space Nine, when Cassidy's like, you're terrible, while Sisko doesn't want her to leave, and he says, I am a Starfleet captain, a paragon of virtue. And then she yells at him because you're a parody of virtue. And I thought that was a cute Easter egg. Anyway, so it is a perfect example of like how we perform gender and sexuality. In my opinion, it is a great example of the manipulation of drug dealers and pimps. And it talks, I think it's got a good theme of confidence is sexy, but it also is interesting because it's kind of like the women's marriages, we see them not being as good, but it kind of goes into like, it's a confidence issue. Like, and also the men that wanted them, they wanted these bombshells. And then after being with them for a while, it's like, oh, you're not being this bombshell all the time. But I do have hope for the marriage we only see Vena's marriage, because they actually communicate a little, but it is a very interesting view of sexuality and sex. And I've always found it to be one of those episodes that, like, it's so 60s and campy, but I do think it actually has some really good morals and lessons in it, despite being extremely dated.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think Vina has like a line where she literally says like, oh, you know, oh, you don't want me like this, where I'm actually like intelligent and explained a better method of like cleaning your pots and pans and things like that. She's like, you want me like this, and then she takes the drug, and she's just like sexy, like maybe stupid and, you know, feminine, but useless.
Mm.
Like, you don't like, and I
Mm.
think that's a very interesting discussion, and like
Yeah.
but it's also, let's go into the consent element of like the guys who got these mail order brides did not know what about that. Like, they didn't know that there
About
was a
the
drug
actual
element.
drug.
Yeah.
They had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think, but I also, though there, you could argue that there's an element of like, they didn't know these women at all, and they kind of should have assumed that, maybe just like marrying a woman that I've like just met, there's going to be things I learn that aren't what I expected or knew. But it is, but mail order
Yeah.
brides were a real thing historically in the Wild West.
Yeah, and that's an
This,
example where like there could be a situation where both parties are in theory acting with all of their agency intact, but informed consent is still like just not possible under any
Yeah.
circumstance.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm very big on like, if consent is granted under a lie, it's not really consent.
Well, of course, but
yeah,
when it's
yeah.
less
But this is more
explicit,
complicated.
yeah, when it's more
Yeah.
explicit, and it's not that there's a lie, it's that you don't have enough information to know what would even be important
Yes.
for this other person to know.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a hot take. I think people should maybe get to know each other a little bit before marrying.
Mhm.
But
You know what? Wait, can I just,
yeah.
because of the way you said that, so this is unfortunately a TNG thing, but the like sometimes not even knowing specifically what you should know or what should be shared, that's brought up in the host as well, right? Like
Yeah.
Yep.
when Beverly finds out that he has a symbiont in it, when the trail is actually a host and a symbiont, he literally says like, I don't know any different. Why would I tell you?
Why would that be
Like
something I need to
why
tell
would
you?
that be something that would be needed to know? And she's like, because I need to know that, like,
Yeah.
but you clearly didn't in order to like have sex with him before. Like, you were just attracted to him, and yeah.
Well, and he says explicitly, like, you wouldn't have thought to tell me that you're a single being.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Which is an entirely valid thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, these women, you wouldn't have thought to tell me that.
I mean, these
drug.
women do know that they're hiding an illegal drug.
No,
because the Venus drug is explicitly stated as being illegal.
Yeah.
And I would argue that probably that's due to how addictive it is. And yeah, because it doesn't seem to like make it so anyone's like unwittingly drawn to them or anything like that. It really seems to just be that it's confidence.
Well, and there's an important discussion to be had there too, because I think a complicated reality is that consent in ideal circumstances is black and white, but it's not always actually possible for that to be the case.
Yes, I agree.
Because if someone has enough charisma to turn on the right amount of brain chemicals, that could be, in theory, like as plying to someone as a certain amount of alcohol might be, for example, right? And that's not to downplay the notion of drugs as a problem, but I think it's to to lean into awareness that that like more than that can be a problem. That
Yeah.
like people can use their charisma to be manipulative in ways that might approach the effects of certain levels of drugs. And
Yeah.
like just because everyone is sober does not necessarily mean that the situation is fully on the level. And that's not a that's obviously not an endorsement of that status quo.
Yeah.
But it's more just an acknowledgement of like the kinds of people you often run into and things that you have to be aware of to keep yourself safe. So I think that sometimes could be misinterpreted as downplaying the worries about intoxicating substances when it's actually like trying to bring awareness
Yeah.
of threats other than that, because there are threats other than that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that also goes into like these women have no self-esteem. And
Mhm.
Mud definitely preyed on that and probably convinced them that they're ugly without these drugs.
Mhm. And what's that
Like,
sound like? What's up, capitalism?
yeah,
Mhm.
that and but also just like abuser mentality. Like that's
Yep.
also just like abuse.
Well, yeah, I did.
And
I said capitalism.
well, yes, but also just like, you know, abusive relationships. And there's this element
Yeah.
of just like, we don't even know, like, we have no reason to believe that the women are even interested in their husbands.
Right.
Vina at the end, literally, like, Kirk's kind of like, okay, now everything, like, are you guys gonna try and work this out now that everything's on the table about that? And the like husband is kind of like, I think we could try. And then Kirk kind of looks to Vina of like, you know, am I taking you back to the ship so you can be somewhere safe, or is this somewhere safe to you, kind of thing?
Yeah.
And she says to him, it's kind of a wild line to say from your husband that you're going to try before. She says something like, yeah, I'm gonna stay here. You've already found your love. Like, basically, like, he's in love with the ship. And I was like, insane thing to say to the guy you're gonna try and work in front of the guy you're gonna try and work on a relationship with. Basically, like, if Kirk was available.
Mm.
But okay, hope you two kids can work it out. And then credits roll. That'd be an interesting
That's funny.
second contact episode for Lower Decks.
Oh,
Well,
Kids got to figure that out.
on
They're
the
like on
more
an basically abandoned planet too. It's just them.
yeah.
It's
o-
brutal.
on the more problematic side of things, I don't think we can talk about sexuality in Star Trek without talking about
oh,
my God.
Randy, you're missing the.
this silly white line that I left on in my screenshot
Yeah,
there,
it's fine.
because I'm so good at making slideshows.
Last minute,
Um,
yeah.
and this is like,
Mm.
I don't know,
Mhm.
like probably do a solid hour on this topic, but
Yeah.
the specific thing to call attention to is the sexism and like what kinds of stories, what kinds of people get. And what
Mhm.
often happens is men are given stories of like great physical or interpersonal challenges to overcome to like
Yep.
become more strong and more badass and be proven to be the hero, where the stories that women get often involve them being violated, sometimes horrifically,
Yeah.
and having to like heal from that or seek out revenge for that. And there's like a specific thing that does in culture that paints men as stronger and paints women as victims in a way
Mhm.
that is like really culturally damaging.
Yeah.
And it really, really is not great that a lot of Deanna Troy's storylines centered around that dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad to say that I'm for in the episode Violations, where she is again raped, mind raped. It's sad to say that when I watched that episode, it was so heavy, and luckily I watched it with my dad, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I have a hug?" But I was a teenager, and I was like, "I need a hug right now."
Well,
Um,
oh
but
no, say what you're gonna say.
also
No.
what I appreciate about that episode is they actually did call it rape.
Yeah.
So
The-
and
And
here's
I
the
was refreshed by that.
here's the interesting thing, and it's to what Ursa says. Now they don't do it it's not necessarily for Beverly, because Beverly's is more about when her husband died, but Deanna's is an actual physical rape within the mind rape,
Mhm.
whereas
Yep.
Riker's is not at all, right? Like
Yep.
his is just a bad experience. And they don't do it with Beverly. But again, it's like hers, like Troy's are almost always a physical assault. Like,
Yep.
and it almost makes me, it's like, dear writers, you can do better. Like, just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she has this ability as an empath doesn't give you the right to just like do the lazy writing of, oh, let's just exploit that, and because that can be used against her all the time. No,
Yeah.
no. Come up
Yeah.
with something better. Like, just please
Yeah.
come up with something better.
Meanwhile, we see genuinely one of my favorite episodes. I mean, it's very heavy. It's again not saying you can't do heavy emotional episodes, but an episode that actually goes into Betazoid stuff is I forget the name of it, but it's the episode where we find out about, spoiler, Luxana's other child.
Dark Page. Kester.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dark Page.
Because first of all, Majel Barrett killed that performance.
Yes.
And it really
For
went
some
kind
reason,
of
I feel like
into
a lot of people don't like that episode, and I think it's great.
it's fantastic. It
is. It's a
kills
really
me
good
and it's
episode.
hard to watch.
It is.
Right.
But
Yeah, of course.
It builds on so many things. Why Deanna's called the little one, even specifically
Mhm.
to me, because I was like, she's the littler sister. That
Yep.
always like hit me, as I am often called like little one compared to my older sister. The fact that even just going into how Luxana always is very like almost doesn't want to take anything seriously. I'm like, this is a woman who's got deep trauma. It built on her character in such a brilliant way. And that's an example of where they used that vulnerability of the mind and how that could mess with you, of like, oh, you're being too openly vulnerable and now your trauma's coming up and you have not dealt with this and you don't want to, and that you can do an intense traumatic episode with this kind of character without it being rape. Like, it seems like a dumb thing to have to say, but my God. And that episode I think is a perfect example of it. And I also do think there's an element of, why didn't they do that with Luxana? Well, she's older, so she's not desirable. Because I think that's another thing, that older women get stories that very rarely have sex.
Except they do a really good job with her being an older woman and being desirable, right? Like,
well, I think they kind of laugh at her pursuing other people, though, often.
No, but not
always.
I was gonna say, is it Half a Life when she actually marries the guy, knowing he's gonna die? Like,
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No,
and then her and Odo, like, that's a different.
Mm-hmm.
I can swim. All-time banger of a Star Trek line.
Her
All-time
and Odo
banger.
are one of my favorite examples of you can love someone and not be in love with someone. And
yeah,
I mean, they've got one of my favorite dynamics.
Yeah.
Well, I think that speaks to something that I have learned from polyamory, because polyamory is often stereotyped as just being about promiscuity. And first of all, I don't want to like take the bait, because I don't think promiscuity is a thing to be ashamed of, but it's also like just factually not true that is the entirety of what polyamory is about. Yeah. Because for me, it partially is, but that's not what it actually is. What it actually is a framework that has allowed me to recognize that it's okay for any relationship to be what it naturally is, without putting boundaries on it that aren't actually in my and the other person's best interest, right? And so, say for example, there's someone who like, and this is a fictional example I'm making up, this is not actually illustrative of my life, but say for example, there was someone who was like platonic life partner material, but we just super did not click sexually,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why would I give up that part because I had sexual needs that this person could not necessarily provide me?
Mhm.
Why would I just torch that relationship? And as long as we can communicate healthily and have boundaries, like, it's okay to have different people who feed you in different ways, even if those ways are increasingly intimate, as long as those things are obviously okay with you and the other people that you're in relationships with. And so that means that, like, I have platonic friendships, I have friends that I have sex with, I have casual sex, I have my nesting partner, like, and all of those relationships are the level of intimacy and the level of closeness that we choose them to be, not boundaries that were just handed to us by a religion we don't believe in anyways. Um, and that's, I think, to bring that back around to Star Trek, I think Odo and Lwaxana are that kind of relationship where it's like somewhere in between the binary of in a relationship or not in a relationship, or like in an it's complicated relationship.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had like kind of just come to peace with that's what it was and that was okay, instead of
Yeah.
trying to continually make it something that it was never going to be. You can just learn to be happy with what it actually is, and that's like a super super beautiful sentiment that I think is maybe a little lost in the discussion sometimes.
Yeah.
And I also
that's a good
think,
point.
to speak to Loxana's credit, she recognized that when Oda was like, "Oh, I didn't mind having you around," that she was like, "It's gonna get bad. I will start to view you in a romantic way, and that's not something you're interested. Like, that's not something for us. And so I'm gonna leave." Because, and I think that goes into with polyamory and also with a more monogamous lifestyle as well. Is it's about knowing yourself.
Yeah.
It's about knowing what is comfortable for you. It's about knowing, uh again, not only just knowing yourself and knowing whether or not, like, is polyamory for you, is a more monogamous setup for you. It's about knowing that and then also being communicative.
Yeah.
And it's whenever we get into prescriptive relationships, that's where we get damage, where we say people should be this way. And it's like, well, it's not about should, it's about, like, pursuing joy and
Yeah.
health and safety. Joy, health,
All
and
right.
safety.
So I want to finish this up with a really fun one.
Oh, can I just have one more thing about that last episode? But yes, I do love
Yeah,
them.
go for it.
In that episode, when Riker finds out she's pregnant, he gets so mad. He's just like, "Who's the father? Riker,
Oh.
that's not your relationship, it's not your business."
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
okay, sorry.
Correct. No, you're right. You're right.
Okay. Yes, them. I love
So
them.
Oh my god, I know.
Oh,
these
I think
two,
that goes to what you were just speaking about.
yeah, perfect
they're
perfect
beautiful.
transition to it. Sex is supposed to be fun, and it is other things too often. Obviously sometimes it can be uncomfortable if like the vibes aren't right or like you're not really feeling it. Obviously it can be weaponized in ways that can be traumatizing, but at the end of the day, like if you're engaging with sex and sexuality in a healthy way, you should be having fun. Like you should be enjoying your body, you should be enjoying like whatever level of intimacy you want to create with another person or another group of people. You should like feel free to explore that and feel free to not feel shame about
Yeah.
it. And I love so much that Shax and Ta'ana are just entirely letting their freak flag fly. They don't give a shit who knows about it. And they are having the time of their lives. And like fundamentally for me, like obviously it's okay for anyone to have any needs they do around sex, even if that's like not needing or wanting it. But fundamentally, like it's a way for me to enjoy my body, it's a way for me to enjoy someone else's body. It's an interesting way to connect with people. It's an interesting way to like help somebody else have a good time or let someone else like help you have a good time. And it doesn't have to be emotionally messy or fraught if you kind of like work on your stuff and come to peace with things. um you um you can have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do love
And
them.
but also like Shax brings up like, hey, like I forget exactly, but he does kind of bring up like, hey, what about like being held every once in a while or something like that? What
Yep.
is he? Yes, and like, and while that conversation is awkward, those conversations are important. It's important to be in a relationship where you feel comfortable having those
Mhm.
conversations. If you're not comfortable having those conversations, then it's probably not going to be a good relationship, because you need to be able to voice your comfort level so that way it stays comfortable.
Mhm. Well, and I will say through being a promiscuous person, it has helped me learn how to ask for what I want in all other areas of life too.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
That's
if I
interesting.
can do it, because if you can do it in this way that is sometimes a little bit more fraught than everyday situations, um, it's more fraught, but that also makes it more important and more urgent and therefore a little easier to do because the stakes are a lot higher. Like if you're engaging in sex with someone and you do it in a way that is uncomfortable for them, you can really, really hurt someone. And so if you're genuinely interested in not hurting other people, which you should always be interested in not hurting other people, then it's going to really, really matter to you to make sure that you don't cross boundaries accidentally. And so you have to ask. You have to ask for that person. You have to invite that person to tell you what their boundaries are and honor and respect those and take that as a gift because this is someone else telling you like how to take care of them, and you have to be comfortable speaking up and asking for what you want because your time is going to be better if you're asking for what you want and if you're saying what you don't want so you don't have to have those uncomfortable experiences. And for me, that got me into a feedback loop of I can do this, it's possible, people aren't mad at me, and it makes everything so much more fun and it makes
Mhm.
everything feel so much better. And
Yep.
so when I am like going out to dinner and I have a really strong preference for the kind of food that I want, I'm okay to just speak up and say what I want. And if that doesn't end up being
Yep.
the thing, I can also live with that. But it just makes
Mhm.
it easier for me to at least have my needs registered in the room because like I don't my needs are rarely the most important needs in the room, but they do exist and it's okay to speak up and ask for them. Um and it also when engaging in sexual relationships with other people, if you can't gracefully, respectfully, and enthusiastically accept a no, you should not be engaging in those activities with people. Um, and therefore, like, if you can put yourself out on a limb and be a little bit vulnerable and ask for something that you want, have someone else tell you no, and carry that away without negative feelings, it's so much easier to do that in any other context.
Yeah.
If
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
so that's been my experience of it anyways. Like I don't obviously like everyone's path to those things look differently.
Yeah.
And so like I'm not saying like go be a slut if you're having trouble with those dynamics. Like that may not be the answer for everyone.
May
Uh
I expand on that in a way that I think shows another avenue, but is very much
yeah.
the same thing? Is I
Yeah.
think it comes down to practicing vulnerability in a safe and positive environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what that is. So like if whether it is in sexual relationships where you're learning to express what your desires are and you're getting that positive response back, and you're like, it's that thing, it's the same thing that I have learned through therapy of
Yep.
practicing vulnerability in a safe and positive environment where I'm safe with my therapist, and when I am vulnerable, I get the best work done. And I have learned to become someone who is not a doormat, because I very much have been traditionally. I've learned to assert myself. I've learned to be more joyful by taking what I not even just like taking something. It's like taking what I am entitled to as a human being on this earth. Like I'm allowed to take up space. I
Yeah.
am allowed
Yep.
to mention things that I want. And then also learning to not be ashamed of my anger, because as many people who are socialized as female are taught that anger is not an emotion you're allowed to show, whereas on the flip side, many that are socialized as male are taught that anger is one of the only emotions they're allowed to show.
Mhm.
And the big issues with that is like, I learned that no, I'm allowed to go, wait a minute, this person's trampling my boundaries and stuff like that. And it goes into that practicing being vulnerable in a safe and positive environment. And so, you know, you can do Ursa's path, you could do my path. I do think everyone should be in therapy, and also everyone should be
agree.
having fun how they want to. So
Yes. Well, that will bring it to the end for the evening, friends. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
I am a nerd about these sorts of things. I think relationships, sexual and otherwise, are very interesting, and consent and communication dynamics are a thing I'm a nerd about. And so I am very, very glad that I got the chance to nerd out on this stuff with y'all this evening.
No,
yeah.
this was great. And it wasn't as like super spicy as we know sometimes we can be.
Yeah.
I think it was actually a very good discussion all the way
Yeah.
around.
It was
and I really
constructive.
enjoyed
Hard
it.
agree.
Yeah.
Hard agree.
I mean, I learned stuff. I always do
Yeah.
when we all get
Yeah,
together.
me
Like,
too.
I love it. I love
Me
it.
too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, friends, y'all have a good night.
Thank
Mwah.
you.
Mwah.
Thanks for joining.